You're listening to the Red Man Podcast.
Welcome back to the Red Man Podcast. I'm Chris Mosley, joined as always by Mr. Kolby Cron. Kolby, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Chris. The smell and the feel of fall is in the air, and it's getting me excited.
It is. You kind of made a comment about my candle when you came in here. It does kind of have a pumpkin smell to it.
Chris is getting very festive in the office.
My wife makes fun of me because when fall gets here, I'm definitely one of those people that goes and buys the pumpkin spice lattes. And I mean, if it's look, for the first time the other day, I went to Aldi. I've never been in an Aldi before.
Yeah.
So that was an experience for me. My wife takes me in there, and there's an entire aisle that seems to be just dedicated to the fall. And I found some pumpkin spice Cheerios in there. It said It was a limited edition thing. So I bought that, and I'm even eating pumpkin spice cereal. So I think there's pretty much pumpkin spice for everything at this point. If you look for it, you can find it. But I'm excited about it because if anybody's been listening to this podcast, the number one complaint from our technicians is it's so hot. And I'm sick of the heat. And I'm ready for it to cool down. So bring the fall on. It's my favorite time of the year.
I would say it's my favorite time of the year as well, but probably not because of this pumpkin spice accoutrements. But I love the weather. I love football season. It's just a great time of the year.
It is fun when college football gets going. I mean, that just adds to it. I also like Halloween. Halloween's a fun holiday for me. I like to watch scary movies. I mean, it's just a fun time of year for me. But anyway, enough about that. So we've got a brand new episode, obviously, for today. We're going to be covering the Giant Petaltail Dragonfly in our insect profile this week. And after that, on our Control Corner segment, you're going to be talking about Silverfish, correct?
That's correct.
All right, before we get into that, unfortunately, there is some other news I need to share, a little piece of business from our last episode that we need to button up. We debated a little bit about this stupid one gorilla versus 100 men thing. Mm-hmm. And I said on that episode that I would survey our employees, and I did. I sent out a survey to them, and I do on this piece of paper. I have the results of that survey. How do you think that it went? Do you think it went the way you wanted it to go, or the way that I wanted it to go?
I would say more people would probably say the 100 men, but I know for a fact we had some votes towards the gorilla because we spoke to one yesterday.
Yes, that is the unfortunate thing about this. I think there were some people that just walked up to me after listening to the podcast and said, "Oh, this is what I think," and they didn't actually participate in the survey. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't, and you came up to me or Kolby and told us what you thought, and you didn't do the survey, sorry, your vote didn't count here because I'm going by the survey. Ultimately, what it came down to was it was almost 60-40, 61% one way, 38%, 61.54 if we want to get precise, and then 38.46 was how it was split, and it went in favor of the gorilla. 61.54% of our employees
And that's not counting some of the ones I know we had.
believe the gorilla would easily dispose of the 100 men. I still think that's, that's what
I'm surprised.
That's what
Personally,
I
I'm
think about
surprised by that.
it. Are you really?
I mean,
well, I am too.
Even
because,
though that's my thought on it, I would think more people would lean to the side of the 100 people. So
we ran into Hank out in the parking lot, big military guy.
Tactical training. He understands.
And I'm thinking,
combat.
Surely Hank is on my side. And no, Hank's like, no, the men would die. So whatever. We'll probably survey our employees on some other things moving forward now that I've kind of gotten them accustomed to how to do that. But as of today, we'll move on and we'll get into the Giant Petaltail Dragonfly. I've always liked dragonflies. I remember when I was a kid going fishing with my grandmother, and I think this is the second time I've mentioned a memory of my grandmother on this podcast.
Yeah.
We talked about fireflies one time. But I can remember when I would go fishing with her, if a dragonfly would land on your fishing pole, she said that was good luck.
Good luck. Yeah,
And
I've heard the same thing.
I've always heard that, and that's always the first thing I always think of when I think of dragonflies. But again, specifically, we're going to talk about the giant petaltail. That thing gets up to 6 inches, which is really large for a dragonfly, 6 inches in length, with a wingspan of over 4 inches, 4.3 inches, which is pretty big. But, you know, back in the day, probably 250, when I say back in the day, I mean 250 million years ago. This is before the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, back then, dragonflies were massive and could get wingspans up to 2 feet. Those things were huge. I can't imagine.
I would love to see a fossil of one of those in person.
Well, they're
That'd be pretty
still out
tremendous.
there. You know, that people are still finding fossils of them. But can you imagine if we were doing pest control against insects that size today? That it would be. I think we'd have to take a lot of different approaches than we currently.
We would probably need to look into some firearms with rat shot or
Probably
something like
so.
that.
To take down a dragonfly with a 2-foot wingspan, we probably would. But so the petal tail, it's got a black body like a lot of these do, with bright yellow markings along the abdomen. Now the eyes are really what helps make this thing such a good hunter. They are large and well separated, and they give almost a 360-degree view for the dragonfly when he's hunting. The wings are clear, very strong veins. You can see them. And this is one of the largest dragonflies in the world, and clearly the largest species in Australia, which is where you find these. I don't think you find these in the United States. So habitat, they prefer peaty swamps, wetlands. They require clean, slow-moving water with vegetated margins. And again, you find these mostly in eastern Australia, primarily in coastland and upland regions of New South Wales. So it's just one more crazy creature or critter that you can find in Australia. They've got plenty of them.
They seem to have the corner on the market when it comes to crazy insects.
They really, just animals, insects, you name it. There's plenty of stuff over there that can kill you. And these things, by the way, it's rare, but these things have been known to kill and eat birds. It's happened. Really? Yeah, kind of like the Goliath bird eater we talked about some time ago. There have been documented cases. It's mostly hummingbirds, I think, because they're so small. But there are documented cases of these things, and they do say that it's not. It's kind of like shark attacks. Sharks aren't out hunting human beings, but they mistake them for something else sometimes, and that's why people get bit. It's the same thing with these dragonflies. They see these hummingbirds sometimes, and they mistake them for something else because of their movement or something, and they attack them. And they're not going after. That's not their primary food source. They're not going after birds. So the life cycle's metamorphosis. It's incomplete: egg, nymph, adult. They lay their eggs in soft, moist soil near those swampy or boggy areas that we talked about that they like to hang around. The nymphs live in burrows in wet soil or in the walls of swampy creeks. They're rare among dragonflies for living in semi-terrestrial burrows, and they can take 6 to 10 years to reach adulthood. Adults emerge seasonally, usually spring and summer, and with a lot of these insects we talk about, when they come out, they only live a few months. So most of their time is spent as a nymph. Their flight's very slow and deliberate, less agile than smaller dragonflies. I think it's very interesting that, and it's not just this dragonfly, it's all dragonflies. Dragonflies can't walk. Mm-hmm. Did you realize that? I mean, you don't think about that.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
They've got legs, but they can't walk. So they use those. The legs are pretty much landing gear. I mean, they'll perch on something, and it's also used, obviously, to grab prey, to hunt something down. So you do see them perching a lot, often on tall grasses or shrubs. They are very active during the day and most visible during warm and sunny conditions, and very, very territorial. Males defend their swamp and bog areas during mating season. So as far as our diet goes, we talked about the birds. Occasionally they'll eat a bird, but the nymphs, they go after aquatic insects, small invertebrates, even tadpoles. The adults, mostly mosquitoes. They are really, really good to help with mosquito control. Midges and flies, they go after that. Feeding behavior, they love to ambush their predators in larval stage anyway, and they are an aerial hunter as adults. So like I said, these things, they really are built for hunting. They are, would you pretty much call them one of the apex predators of the insect world?
I would say so. I mean, we just talked about the mantis and the mantids a couple weeks ago. I would put these right up there with them. Maybe not quite as aggressive, but they're getting after it.
Right. So there are some threats to the petal tail and probably all dragonflies, really. And habitat loss is a big one. The drainage of swamps, which leads to urban development and agriculture. There's a lot of pollution in water that can or impact the larval survival. And of course, climate change is always brought up. That alters the moisture levels in sensitive swamp habitats. All that stuff is sort of working against the petal tail, but I don't think they're in any danger of becoming extinct or anything. But it's just something to be aware of. There are a few little fun facts about these things. They are among the oldest surviving dragonfly families. The petal tail is. I mentioned it earlier, fossil records that date over 250 million years. That's a very long time. Unlike most dragonflies, the giant petaltail nymphs don't live in the open water. They build the burrows in the moist soil that we talked about. And just their sheer presence in a wetland is a good, strong indicator of the health of the ecosystem of that wetland, just with them being there. And then I also think it's interesting, these things, I think I've got on your piece of paper, but they can fly up to 30 miles per hour, which that's fast.
I've been looking at that fact here pretty much this whole time you've been discussing, and it brings me back, thinking about dragonflies. We don't really deal with them a whole lot in pest control, right? Because they're not really infesting homes and urban developments and things like that.
Well, they're also natural pest control. I mean, they're
Correct.
helping us.
Correct, but what it makes me think about, so as part of my schooling, we had to collect insects, right? And part of the assignment was you have to have so many insects from different orders, different families. You had to classify them. Dragonfly was probably the hardest one, even though it's probably one of the more abundant ones to find. You see them all over the place. They are hard to catch.
Oh, yeah, super hard.
They're so fast. So this whole time we've been talking, I've just been visualizing myself out in my parents' field or in a neighborhood, like running around with a net, diving, trying to catch, because I was desperate. I had like a timeline to meet. I had so many to get, and they were super hard to catch. And when you caught one, you might have damaged it because you had to be so aggressive to get it.
Right.
And then when you did catch a good one, it was also probably, for me anyways, that this may vary for other people, your mileage may vary, but it was probably the most difficult insect to pin.
Really?
Because of the wings. Similar to butterflies, they're hard to get straight. You have to freeze them and then pin them flat, let them dry.
Right.
But their heads, what people don't realize, their heads are like on a swivel.
Yeah.
And you'll knock their heads off, but their head will, if you don't pin them just right, they'll spin and they'll be upside down.
I know exactly what you mean. Years ago, at a previous office I managed, it was just the office, we started an insect collection. Just all the technicians would go out and bring things in. And I do remember that. The dragonfly was a tough one, and I remember that head would easily come loose if you were not,
so
not careful.
That probably wasn't the most challenging one, but it was one of the most challenging insects I had to collect. It's just, you don't think about that, but they are pretty tricky to get
I like them. They're one of my favorite insects, I think. They're just cool. Like I said earlier, they're just they're just killing machines, little killing machines, and they help us. They're natural pest control.
Absolutely.
So now we're going to move into our control corner. We're going to talk about silverfish, which is another interesting insect. Forget pest control. I just think it's an interesting looking creature.
It is very, very interesting. So the silverfish is from the order Zygentoma. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I think I am. But they are actually, if not the most, one of the most primitive insects still around today.
That's true.
385 million years ago is the last fossil record for one of these creatures. They're in the same kind of group with fire brats. And the reason they're so primitive is they were a addition, so to speak, of insects that were around before insects even developed wings. So this predates cockroaches, flies, mosquitoes, all these different other orders out there. This was kind of one of the most primitive ones. And you can kind of see that in its appearance. To me, they kind of look like, if there was ever an insect that looked like an alien, these look like little aliens to me. Like,
they do. They really do. They look like they're from some other planet or something.
That's right. So they're about a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch in length. They're silvery, almost have a metallic rainbow sheen and some lighting because they have scales on them. Teardrop shape, almost like a kind of like a stubby carrot in its shape. And like I've already said, they run very, very fast. They're wingless. So they've adapted to maneuvering very quickly without wings. And they have long thread-like antenna. And then 3 bristle-like appendages on the rear, 2 of which are cerci, and the other one is just a medial filament. So those are used to detect motion, movement, and things like that. So this is something that we obviously deal with in the pest control industry, and it's important that you get them under control because they can be a nuisance. But they come out really at night. They can leave stains, holes in different materials, shed skin, leave moltings everywhere. Just a lot of nastiness. There's a lot of insects kind of leaving your property. So there's a few things you can do to prevent them. Ultimately, like with all things, keeping your house and your property in good order, vacuuming on a regular basis, reducing moisture. If you have a moisture condition, any leaks, faucets that are leaking, roof leaks, and just in general have a clean, happy home environment is going to help. But that's not going to prevent them from coming into your home through other means, such as cardboard boxes that they love so much, cereals, books, really anything that's got cellulose material. And you hear us say that with many things, such as cockroaches. But reducing all that clutter, cleaning up, getting rid of boxes, recycling as quickly as you possibly can is going to reduce that possible infestation.
I see them a lot in like really old buildings where
crawl space homes.
Well, I guess I see them a lot in old buildings because a lot of times in older buildings you find lots and lots of files because a lot of people or businesses that may have been in those buildings predate digital stuff.
Right.
You find tons of file cabinets with lots of paper, lots of files. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see them a lot more in those kind of buildings. There's just more for them to, the environment is just better for them to thrive in.
That's absolutely right. So obviously removing all that from the environment as much as possible and just keeping things clean, removing clutter, that's all going to help. So as a homeowner, as a pest control operator, what can you do to control these insects if you do have an issue ongoing with them? First and foremost, we always want to encourage IPM pest control as much as possible, reduce the use of pesticides, and any opportunity you have to do that's great. So sticky traps and monitors, one, it lets you know if you do have an infestation going on. But as they forage, as they journey around your environment, they're going to get stuck on there. They do like the paper and the glue, right? That's what they're going after, and all these products that are in your home, and that's what's on a glue trap. So they're going to go to that, get stuck. That's going to reduce population. Place these things along your walls, baseboards, under sinks, anywhere where you do have to store cardboard boxes. It's a good idea to put some out. But there's also an additional product out there that's specifically designed for silverfish that I don't know if there's a lot of people that are familiar with them. They're called deco packs.
Right. I remember them.
These have kind of come in and out of popularity over the years for a couple of reasons. One, there's some concerns, just like with glue boards, that a child may get a hold of them or a pet may consume them. They do have an active ingredient of boric acid in them. So if they are consumed, it can cause some stomach problems, possible vomiting and diarrhea. But generally, they're considered ultimately safe for use in residential practices. But essentially what they are is just like if you ripped off a corner of a cardboard box and you look at it from the side, you see those perforated kind of corrugated gateways in there. Well, silverfish like to lodge themselves in those environments for close harborage, but they feed on that cardboard and glue, and it's kind of the perfect environment. Well, these packs are set up for that, but they are impregnated with a boric acid that as they consume it, it kills them. So great little product there.
And Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful where you put it out. And we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, that there had been instances where dogs had, but honestly, you can say that pretty much about anything that we put out.
Right.
Anything that we put out, whether it be a little ant bait station or these deco packs we're talking about, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're a pest control operator, you need to be very responsible about where you put this stuff out.
Correct. I mean, it's, common sense goes a long way. Be smart. Yeah, and that goes for homeowners and for operators. Make sure you're setting yourself up for success. So once you've kind of exhausted those methods using inspection protocols, putting out some traps and monitors, kind of the next step down the rung is using a chemical control product that's going to last, because this is something that can reinfest over time, be reintroduced over time. So you're typically talking about boric acid-based products like tap insulation in your attic. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things that's going to prevent them from coming in through those means. You store a lot of boxes in your attic. That's going to prevent them from coming down into your living space. But probably one of the biggest ones I advocate for many pests is diatomaceous earth. Mm-hmm. What that is a desiccant. They come across it. It never really expires. It doesn't go away. You put it in cracks and crevices. They come across it. They kind of leak out, right? They have an exoskeleton. They lose all the moisture. They dry up and die. So that's probably the next safest option. And then once again, you have a severe enough infestation, or maybe you're just doing a general pest treatment and you're trying to cover for many insects. That's where you want to come down to those residual sprays. You really want to try and prevent using those on the inside of a property as much as possible. But in the event that you do, deltamethrin, bifenthrin, permethrin, all these are good products that'll really knock out the silverfish. And obviously, you don't want to spray those in any food storage areas or prep areas. Keep that to your bathrooms, basements, attics, things like that.
Right.
And then lastly, like with any insect that molts, IGRs can be effective being paired with those to prevent the molting process, and they die as a result of that. So a few different options there to get them under control. Not really a super difficult insect to control, but they can get out of hand and can be very frustrating if you let them go unchecked for a while. So make sure you're on the lookout for them. You can't mistake them. They're pretty unique looking.
All right, so be honest. Have you ever had these in your home?
I've probably found one in my home, but I don't think I've ever had an infestation before. Typically, they're in a box or something that's being moved.
I've never had a severe infestation, but I have. It seems like it was not that long ago. I stepped into the shower one night to get a shower, and there was a silverfish in the.
You got on your big toe?
No, he didn't touch me, but I think I just washed him down the drain.
Yeah, well, that's another IPM control method, I guess.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is just because you see one in your house does not mean that you're living in filth or anything.
Right.
I mean, it's just a pretty common thing. If the environment's right and everything they need is there, you occasionally will see them.
Well, look, and I can't advocate enough. We talked about the glue boards. I moved into a new place not too long ago, and I'm a pest control guy. I sprayed the outside of my house. I'm thinking, hey, I'm not going to have any issues, right? I get a few glue boards, put them out around the house, and lo and behold, a week later, I am appalled at how many insects I've trapped on these glue boards. I'm like, where are they coming from? I haven't seen them. It's out of sight, out of mind. These are small insects. You're going to miss them if you're not really looking for them. Those monitors really play a big role in our industry and what we do, because it kind of brings it to the forefront and you can see it. So,
it does. It also kind of helps you pinpoint high traffic areas that you can focus on. Because there's so many little voids and cracks and crevices in homes, and it's like you said, out of sight, out of mind. You have no idea what all is lurking behind your wall coverings until you put a lot of those little the monitoring stations out. So, all right, so that does it for our Control Corner segment. I think we're going to transition now into our Tech Talk segment. I think our target for today is a lady by the name of Charly Barnett. She's worked with us. I mean, she's been here at least a year, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's been here a year.
And she's had a lot of pest control experience. Mm-hmm. She worked for another company before she came our way. I like Charly. She's got a really good personality. And
she can do it all.
She can. She does pest controls. She does termite controls.
She does some good sales, too.
And she sells. So that's exactly right. She's one of our combo technicians. So let's see if we can get Charly on the phone and see what she's up to.
Hello.
Hello, Charly Barnett. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's Chris. I guess you know that. I'm joined with Kolby here. And
how are you, Charlie?
I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain.
So, do you know why we're calling you, Charlie?
I have no idea.
You're on our podcast.
You're making her nervous, Chris.
There's nothing to be nervous about, Charlie. I actually set this up before we called. I said, I really like Charlie. Charlie's got a great personality. Let's call Charlie and see what she's up to today. So
Charlie's stressed out now.
There's no reason for Charlie to be stressed out. How long have you been here, Charlie? I was trying to remember.
A little over a year. It started in July.
That's what I thought, about a year. But this isn't your first rodeo. You've done pest control before. You worked for another company. And how long did you work at that company?
2 or 3 years.
Okay, so you're knocking on the door 4 years of doing pest control then, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you like about it, Charlie?
The variety.
The variety? Yeah, well, that's
my brain a lot.
That was always what I liked. You know, the number one thing I like about pest control to me was I wasn't stuck, which isn't so much the case anymore, but I wasn't stuck in a freaking office all the time. I wanted to get outside, see people every day. There wasn't a lot of monotony to it. That is what is one of the best things about working in this industry to me. Now, one of the worst, I'm just going to ask you because I have a feeling, because a lot of people seem to say the same thing. What is the worst thing about working in pest control, Charlie?
Crawling underneath houses.
Going under houses. Okay, well, that is a different answer than what we've gotten from the past few people. The past few folks we've talked to have all said it's just too darn hot.
Yep.
Now, Charlie apparently...
That don't bother me.
Oh, I was about to say, heat don't bother Charlie. But going under a house does, huh? So what is it? Are you afraid you're going to run into some kind of critter under there or what?
See, I don't do raccoons.
Oh, specifically.
That's a fair one. I don't do raccoons either.
So it's specifically the trash pandas that freak you out?
Yes, that and snake.
Well, let me ask you this. So going under a house, what would you rather come across, a snake or a raccoon?
That's honestly my worst nightmare, and I'll probably burn that house down.
You do what? I didn't hear you.
I'll just burn the house down.
You burn the house down? Well, let's
sure the customer wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah, let's don't burn the customer's house down. I would rather you just turn around and leave. But I'll tell you straight up now, but if it was me, it's definitely, I don't want any part of a snake. I can deal with a raccoon. I'll just go the other way. Why are you so scared of raccoons, Charlie?
They're nasty.
They're nasty?
Mm-hmm. They are. Those are some mean animals.
Oh, they can be extremely vicious. But when you go into the house, I mean, I don't think they're going to attack you.
You can kind of predict what a snake's going to do. You cannot predict what a raccoon's going to do in a confined space.
So you have this fear of raccoons as well?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm scared of them, but I don't want to run into them.
I can see the fear in your eyes. You're scared of raccoons.
I'm shaking in my boots right now. But I would agree with Charlie. You know, most of the people that we talk to, the heat. Heat's heat. You know how to control it. You can get in a truck, cool off, go get some water, take a break. You get in a crawl space. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns you can run into. Most of them, to be completely fair, are perfectly fine. Some of them are even nice and pleasant if they have encapsulations or vapor barriers. But I would agree with Charlie. If I had to pick one thing that I don't like about this industry is the fact that you have to get in confined spaces.
Yeah, I'm with her. I get it. I've told this story before. When I first started and got interviewed to come to work for a pest control company, I was asked by the guy interviewing me, how do you feel about going under houses? And I said, oh, that don't bother me. But that was a lie. In my heart, I was terrified because I thought, I've never been under a house before. But I will say, once I started going under them, it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. It's not quite as bad as I thought it would be. So have you ever had a bad experience under? Have you ever came across a raccoon under a house, Charlie? Has that happened to you?
No, but I worked for a cleaning business, and I went to a dumpster, and one came out at me.
So you did have a bad experience with a raccoon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully so far, your experience at Red has been a good one.
It has.
I know that when you came on board here, you primarily did pest control, and I know since you've been with Red, you've started dabbling a little bit more in termite control. And you seem to be doing quite well. You're also selling a lot of business for us.
Yeah. It's going pretty good. I've learned a lot more than what I thought I knew.
Well, hey, that's all of us every day.
You're always learning in this industry.
You're always learning something new. And so I'm going to ask you this, Charly, and I want you to be honest. Have you ever listened to our podcast?
I did, and then I listened to the last one, and there was no more, and then I haven't started back yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So she's waiting. She's waiting for the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've been trying to put them out every 2 weeks, and we're just trying every week. We are, believe it or not, it's not always spur of the moment. We kind of have an idea who we're going to call on each episode, and you were the one for today. So I'm glad that you picked up the phone. We appreciate, everything that you do for Red Pest Solutions. Do you have any parting words before we let you go?
I appreciate everything that y'all do and how y'all are family to everybody.
Well, you're definitely part of our family too, Charly. So we'll try to keep the raccoons away from you, and you be safe out there. And if you need anything, you give us a call. Okay.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. We'll see you, Charly.
Thanks,
Have a good
Charly.
day.
Thanks.
We'll just send all the raccoon leads to
So
Chris.
that was Charly. And so, yeah, we learned something new, that Charly has this very, I wouldn't call it an unhealthy fear, but she definitely has
she has respect for raccoons.
She has a lot of respect for the trash pandas out there. I wonder if I should have asked her, can she watch Guardians of the Galaxy? Or is that...
That's a good point.
Can she even see them on television? How bad is this fear of raccoons? I should have dug a little further.
I don't think it's that severe.
I should have dug a little bit further into that. But anyway, that was our tech talk for the week. So as we near the end of the show, I do want to remind everybody, I think we've done this past couple episodes, especially if you're in Mississippi. It's very important you join the Mississippi Pest Control Association if you are in the pest control industry. That's a way that you can make sure that your voice is heard, not only on a state level, but also to some degree on a national level. There are a lot of decisions and changes that are made in our industry every year. And there are a lot of smart people out there who have really good opinions about the direction that we could take our industry. And we need to be able to hear those people. And to hear them, you need to be part of the Mississippi Pest Control Association. So if we can help anyone or guide you on what you need to do to get involved, you can always email us at the redmanpodcast@redpest.com. So any parting words, Kolby?
No, I'm just excited to keep the podcast rolling and move on to some new topics. And I think we've got a few pretty cool ideas coming down the road that we're going to start tossing in here and there and get some engagement out of the viewership or listenership, I guess you would say, and keep having a good time.
All right. Well, with that, we will end the show here. I hope everyone has a good week, and we'll see you next time on the Red Man Podcast.
Call the Red